Racist Mill called her newborn too dark. What the dad did next shocked everyone. Lily lay in the hospital bed, her body sore, her eyes heavy, but her heart full. Ava was wrapped in a pale pink blanket, sleeping peacefully against her chest. Darnell sat close beside them, one arm around Lily's shoulder, the other gently stroking his daughter's tiny fingers. For the first time in a long time, the world felt still. Whole. The door creaked open slowly. Lily looked up and her chest tightened. Her mother, Carol, stepped in with a tight-lipped smile and a bouquet of white lilies. She glanced at Ava, then looked away just as fast. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She placed the flowers down without a word. Carol stood stiffly at the foot of the bed. She tilted her head, pretending to admire the baby. Then came the first comment, wrapped in politeness but sharp underneath. She said Ava had strong features, then added almost in a whisper that she looked darker than expected. The silence that followed was colder than the hospital air. Darnell didn't flinch. He looked at Carol, then back down at Ava, his voice calm when he said that their daughter was perfect. Carol nodded, her expression unreadable, then said something about how babies sometimes lighten up. Lily felt her throat tighten. She wanted to say something, but her energy was gone. She looked at Darnell, but he just held her hand and didn't let go. When Lily excused herself to the bathroom, Carol moved closer to the baby's bassinet. She leaned in, her expression softening, but not in a way that brought comfort. She touched Ava's cheek and spoke quietly, unaware of the tiny camera resting on the table behind her, facing the crib. Her voice dropped low. She called Ava poor thing. Then she muttered that a child like her would never have it easy. And then, barely above a whisper, she said she might need to talk to someone about custody. That maybe Ava would be better off with her, not with them. By the time Lily returned, Carol was smiling again, hands folded neatly in front of her. She offered to bring coffee next time. She kissed Lily's cheek and said goodbye. As she walked out, Darnell gently reached behind the lamp and picked up the small baby monitor, now blinking red. He didn't say a word. Not yet. He just cradled Ava in his arms and looked down at her with a gaze that was more protective than proud. The peace from earlier had vanished, replaced by something colder. Something waiting. Back home, the days blurred together. Ava's cries came in waves, diapers stacked high, and sleep came in short, precious bursts. Lily moved through the rhythm of new motherhood like she was underwater, floating, tired, and clinging to small moments of peace. Darnell helped with everything, quiet and steady. But there was a new silence between them, and it wasn't from exhaustion. Darnell had stopped talking as much. He smiled less. He watched Ava with a mix of wonder and worry, as though waiting for something to happen. At night, Lily would wake and find him not in bed, but in the living room, holding Ava and staring at something on his laptop. He never said what it was. Carol started showing up more often, always with a casserole or a suggestion. She brought baby clothes Lily hadn't asked for, kept offering to babysit even though Ava was only 2 weeks old. She smiled when she held Ava, but always said something under her breath. Things like, she hoped Lily had kept her old last name, just in case the baby wanted options. Lily felt her gut twist during these visits. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want to believe her mom was saying what she thought she was saying. But it got harder to ignore. Like when Carol asked, just loud enough, whether Darnell was planning to teach Ava his kind of culture. Then she laughed, like it was a joke. One evening, Darnell fed Ava while Lily folded tiny clothes nearby. He was unusually quiet. Lily asked if everything was okay. He said yes, but didn't look up. Then softly he said, "Your mom's not just difficult. She's dangerous." Lily's breath caught, but he didn't explain. He just kissed Ava's forehead and walked her back to her crib. Later that night, when the house was dark, Lily found Darnell sitting at the dining table, laptop open, earbuds in. He didn't notice her at first. His eyes were locked on the screen. When she touched his shoulder, he paused the video and slowly turned the screen toward her. There was Carol on the baby monitor footage, her voice clear, her words like ice. Lily stood frozen, one hand over her mouth, her heart pounding. Darnell didn't say anything. He didn't need to. The silence that followed was no longer uncertain. It was deliberate, heavy, and it was only just beginning. Lily couldn't unhear her mother's words. They played over and over in her head, sharp, clear, coated in a kind of venom she didn't know Carol had. She hadn't said it in anger or even heat. That was the worst part. Her tone had been calm, casual, like someone making a grocery list. The mask had slipped, and what was underneath made Lily sick. The next morning, Lily stood in the kitchen with the monitor footage still open on her phone. Her hands trembled as she scrolled back and forth, hoping, desperately, that she'd misunderstood. That maybe the camera had glitched or the audio had warped. But it hadn't. Her mother had said those things. About Ava, about Darnell, about custody. She called Carol. The moment her mother answered, Lily's voice cracked. She asked how she could say those things. How she could look at her own granddaughter and think like that. Carol's voice didn't waver. She said she was being realistic. She said Lily was too emotional. She said, and Lily would never forget this, that babies shouldn't be born into confusion. Darnell stayed quiet as Lily slammed the phone down. He didn't gloat or say, "I told you so." He just sat beside her and took her hand. She cried for a long time, then held Ava close to her chest, swearing she'd never let anyone, family or not, make her daughter feel less than loved. A few days later, word started spreading. Lily's cousin texted, asking if everything was okay. Her aunt called and left a message that felt cold and formal. Carol had started planting seeds, saying Darnell was controlling, saying Lily was overwhelmed, that she didn't feel Ava was safe. No one said it out loud, but Lily knew what they were really being told. Invites stopped coming. Family group chats went quiet. The people Lily had grown up with began to vanish, one polite step at a time. And in the silence, Lily saw the truth. Some of them hadn't changed. They had just hidden it better. Her mother hadn't poisoned them. They had been willing to listen. Darnell didn't argue. He didn't rage. He went to work, came home, fed Ava, kissed Lily's forehead, and moved forward. But Lily could feel what it cost him. He loved her. He loved their daughter. And now, he carried the weight of protecting them from her own blood. One night, Lily asked why he hadn't said anything sooner. Why he hadn't told her what her mother was. Darnell looked at her, calm and steady, and said, "Because sometimes the truth doesn't need to be spoken. It needs to be shown." And she knew then that something was coming. Something quiet, but loud enough to be heard by everyone. The living room smelled like roast chicken and baby lotion. Ava cooed softly in her bouncer, while Lily adjusted throw pillows and checked the oven one more time. It was supposed to be a small gathering. Nothing fancy. Just a few close friends and a couple of family members who still spoke to them. A quiet celebration of Ava's first month. Carol wasn't invited, but she came anyway. She walked in without knocking, arms full of store-bought cupcakes and a practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes. No one said anything, not at first. Lily's cousin glanced between her and Darnell, unsure what to do. Darnell barely looked up from where he sat on the couch, bouncing Ava gently on his knee. Carol kissed the top of Ava's head like nothing had happened. Then she looked at Darnell and said something about how nice it was that he was still around. The room went still. Someone coughed. Someone else stood up to refill their drink without needing one. The tension hung like fog. Lily locked eyes with Darnell from across the room. He gave her a slow, quiet nod. Then he stood, walked to the entertainment center, and picked up the remote. The TV lit up, casting pale light across everyone's faces. He clicked through the files on a USB drive plugged into the side. Nobody spoke. Then the video started. The hospital room. The baby monitor's clear overhead angle. Carol's voice, unmistakable, pouring from the speakers. "You poor thing. If she knew better, she'd never have married your kind. She's already at a disadvantage. Maybe I need to talk to someone about custody." The words landed like stones. No one moved. Carol's face drained of color. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Lily stared at her mother, heart pounding so hard she thought it might shake the windows. Darnell paused the video. He turned and looked around the room. His voice was steady, but low. This is what our daughter would grow up around if we didn't draw the line. This is what people call family while letting this go on. The silence was thunderous. Carol stood frozen in the doorway, eyes flicking between faces. Her hands trembled slightly. No one defended her. Not this time. Even the cousin who'd always given her the benefit of the doubt looked away. No one said a word. Not yet. But something had shifted. The truth was out now, and there was no way to take it back. Carol didn't leave. She didn't shout, didn't argue, didn't deny it. She just stood there, the weight of her own words hanging in the air around her like smoke. Her hands dropped to her sides. Her mouth opened once, then closed. For the first time in Lily's life, her mother looked small. Not angry, not righteous, just lost. No one filled the silence. Darnell didn't move. Lily didn't speak. Ava gurgled from her bouncer, breaking the tension with the innocent sound of a child who knew nothing of what had been said about her. That sound cut through Carol like glass. Her face crumpled. She stepped back toward the wall and lowered herself into a chair. Slowly, quietly. Her shoulders shook. Her eyes welled, but no tears fell yet. She looked at Lily, then at Darnell, and then finally at Ava. "I was raised to believe things," she said, voice cracking. "Ugly things. My father used to talk about people like you were less than. I thought I was better than that. I thought I'd outgrown it." She looked down at her hands like they were foreign to her. "But it's in me. It's in the way I talk, the way I think. I don't want it to be. But I see now that it is." Lily felt something in her crack open. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But a tiny breath of air in a room that had been suffocating. She sat beside Darnell but didn't touch him. She didn't know what he would say, what he would do. She just waited. Darnell looked at Carol for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, but it had an edge. "You don't get to call her family if you don't see her whole. Not just the parts that look like you. All of her. Or none of her." Carol nodded. She wiped her face with the edge of her sleeve. Then, slowly, she stood up and walked toward Ava. She didn't reach for her. She just looked down. "I want to learn. I want to be better. I don't expect you to trust me. But I need you to know. I'm sorry." Ava kicked her legs and made a soft sound, completely unaware of the moment around her. Darnell looked at Lily. She gave a small nod. Carol sat beside the baby. She didn't say another word. She just sat there. In the weeks that followed, she kept coming back. Not with gifts, not with excuses, but with humility. She started therapy. She read, she listened. She asked hard questions and didn't interrupt the answers. And little by little, she earned the right to be called Grandma. Not by blood, but by choice.